Playing a game or being in sport is an essential ingredient to build a healthy life, both physical, mental, and I would go to the extent of saying even for a spiritual process, it's important that one knows how to play a game. When we say a game, the most important thing about playing a game or being in a sport is you cannot do sport half-hearted. You can go to your work half-hearted, you can even handle your marriage half-hearted, but you cannot play a game half-hearted. Unless you involve yourself, there is no game. So, absolute involvement in what you're doing is an essential part of being in sport or in a game. Why a football game happening somewhere in another part of the world makes more than 1 billion people stand up and scream is just the level of involvement that the players are showing. So this tremendous sense of involvement in whatever you're doing, the focus that it takes, and human ability to stretch beyond their limits to fulfill something that they wish to do at that moment are essential ingredients for a successful life. One thing that has happened to India as a nation is, this is a country where 365 days, we had 365 different festivals. That means the whole culture was in a state of celebration. Everything was a celebration. Today is ploughing day, it is a kind of celebration. Tomorrow is planting day, another kind of celebration. Day after tomorrow is weeding, that's a celebration. Harvesting, of course, is still a celebration. Such a celebratory culture has now slowly moved into a state of depression. A large part of Indian population, which is in the rural areas of the country, has lost this celebratory mode completely, mainly because of a few generations of abject poverty has taken all this out. So sport is a simple way of bringing the celebratory mood to make a human being function beyond his limitations, make a human being function in a certain exuberance of life, which sports naturally does. At Isha, we have effectively used sport as an entry activity for revitalizing rural societies through our now very famous project called Action for Rural Rejuvenation, which has involved millions of people, and the kind of transformation that it's brought about in people is to be seen, to be believed. The significant thing about sport is that it levels communities. Initially, when we tried to go into the rural community with our projects and programs, there was such a big resistance because of caste and creed distinctions. So, that is a time when I thought of how to level these caste differences in the society so that they could function together, and then we took the sport in. And suddenly once we took the sport in, whoever is playing the game well becomes the important person, nobody is concerned about his caste, creed or his parentage. This is the significant thing about sport, that once you're into sport, who you are and what you're doing right now becomes important. Who your father was, what he was doing is not important, what you are right now. Every man is valued for his worth, not for what he has been. Nobody in this country asks, what caste does Mahendra Singh Dhoni belong to? Because nobody is bothered about it. What he does on the field is all that matters to us. So sport is a huge leveling factor. We have used this with great impact in rural societies in Tamil Nadu of leveling the caste and creed distinctions. Another very important aspect is the level of physical fitness that the sport is bringing, because today in rural communities in India, this is one of the biggest problem. Musculoskeletal problems are among the 3 major health issues that the rural people of our country face. And for this, a combination of yoga and sport, only after we brought sport into action, we could introduce yoga, and this has brought about a huge change in the way people live in terms of their health and well-being. And another significant aspect of taking sport into the village is the rural youth suddenly want to be fit. People have grown out of their addictions of smoking and drinking, and now they're working to become fit because they all want to get into the team. So the level of healthy competitiveness, wanting to be healthy, wanting to be fit, and coming out of addictions, all these things happening in one stroke is the miracle of sport. So sport, taking sport to every human being in this world, if it's possible, at least in our country, is one of the goals that we have set in Isha. We want to make sure that every Indian is playing some game. And this need not necessarily be on the competitive level, just for the sake of sport, just for the sake of playing, that everybody should be playing. And the kind of involvement that we brought about, irrespective of gender and age, in the rural communities is something that you have to see. The joy of it, the pleasure of watching people over 60 years of age, women who have never played in their life, especially the women, the rural women, most of them have never played a game in their life after they are 6 or 7 years of age. Now at the age of 65, 70, they're coming and participating in tournaments. Inter-village tournaments, you will see older women actually playing with youth and winning the games. One important lesson that sport brings into everybody's life is, you cannot play a game unless you really want to win. If you are not interested in winning, you cannot play a game. You really want to win, that's why you play a game. At the same time, it's all right for you to lose the game. This is a significant quality that every human being needs if he wants to get somewhere in his life, particularly for the leadership. I would like to see our legislators and members of the parliaments and ministers play a game. I know there is a cricket game, but something more simple, something more active, because wanting to win, at the same time willing to lose if need be, gracefully. Handling your victory gracefully, handling your failure gracefully is something that sport inculcates into a human being, which is the essence of leadership, that pitching for the highest, going for it all out, and when it doesn't happen, you know how to gracefully handle that aspect, is an essential ingredient for anybody who is aiming high in his life. So, this is an incredible movement that is started in Tamil Nadu. We want to see that this happens to the whole country. The idea is not necessarily about developing competitive sport, but the important thing is to bring the spirit of sport. Along with this, social transformation, economic revitalization, and spiritual development of the human being can be very easily introduced into societies if sport is used as an entry point. Above all, to make sure that every human being is a game for life.